What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the rematch between the Oklahoma Sooners and the Alabama Crimson Tide in Norman for a spot in the Rose Bowl. Let's get started with the obvious. This is maybe the biggest game in Oklahoma football history at home. Home game. It's not a national championship game, but the biggest home game in Norman ever? You have to ask that. That's a debatable question. But you're bringing in the team that you went to their house and won in this year. In my preseason prediction, I said it's going to be really, really tough to go beat that team after taking away their playoff hopes. Now you're going to get the chance to do that again, take away their playoff hopes, and you guys advance to the Rose Bowl. I think for the Alabama side, let's look there. It's pretty hard to say that they've played their best football in the last 5 weeks. Ever since that Oklahoma loss, they have looked like a worse team than they were in the weeks before the Oklahoma game. Before Oklahoma, they had 4 straight wins against ranked opponents in the SEC. They were looking like potentially a top 3 team in the country, maybe 1, 2, 3, one of those teams, and ever since then, they've fallen off. Has it been a drastic fall off? No, but Ty Simpson looks worse. The run game isn't getting better. The O-line looks worse, and overall the team is just not as good right now. What is it with Alabama that the fundamentals are falling apart there? We're really going to test them and see how good of a coach Ryan Grubb is this week against the Sooners. If Ryan Grubb can get this team, who's been lackluster the last few weeks, up and ready to play, and they go out there and make a statement in Norman, then it's going to really put a testament to how good of a coach Ryan Grubb is and how he coaches Alabama players. But if they go out there and look like they did the weeks before, they're going to get demolished. If their O-line looks anything like it did against Georgia, Oklahoma's going to dominate this football game. Georgia did not get a ton of sacks. I think they finished with 3 on the game. But it seemed like they were pressuring Ty Simpson on every single play of the game. If that happens in this game, Oklahoma is going to have a feast, and Ty Simpson isn't going to be able to win. I also think another huge thing in this game is the turnover battle. Alabama has not lost a turnover battle really a lot at all this year, but when they did, they lost to Oklahoma, and they lost that football game. And this is a game where Oklahoma is going to blitz. Brent Venables likes to blitz. He's going to bring them. Can Ty Simpson replace the blitz with the football? We saw him try to do it last time they played, and guess what? He threw an interception, and it was a pick 6. Can Oklahoma cause those exact same things to happen again? We're going to find out, and we're going to find out what Ty Simpson's built of, especially after hearing about his back injuries he's been having. How 100% is he going to be with being able to swing that rock? For Alabama, how easy can they run the football? When they were playing Georgia in the SEC Championship, it seemed like almost every single first down was a handoff, and it never worked. They were never able to sustain it. Their run game just isn't working this year. It's not going to work. They keep trying it. At what point in this game are they going to abandon it? Oklahoma's defensive line is so good. They lead the country in run stopping plays. They lead the country in tackles for loss. They lead the country. They have 40% of their defensive snaps allow 0 or negative yardage. Do you know how insane that is? That means that, especially Bama, that's their stats against teams that run the football good. Against Ahmad Hardy, Bama can barely run the football against bad teams. They still struggle. This Oklahoma defensive line is not going to let Bama get into those run gaps. Their linebackers are going to fill the gaps and stop the run. That when do they truly become a one-dimensional team? We've seen Ryan Grubb do it all the time. Eventually, he has to abort mission on all of the run plays and lean heavy pass. How early in this game does he do it? Does he come out here and he says, you know what, screw the run, we're going to pass this football 45 times tonight? I would not be surprised. And against an Oklahoma team where if you're going to point out a weakness in their team, it's going to go be that secondary. That is the weakness on that defense. How can Alabama exploit it? Ryan Williams has not been great recently. He just hasn't. He had a drop touchdown in the end zone against Georgia in the SEC Championship. How can they get Ryan Williams integrated? How can they get Jimmy Bernard integrated? Do more stuff over the middle of the field instead of such sideline-to-sideline stuff that they've been doing recently with Ryan Williams. He's so good in space. Just get him the ball in space. Give him all that space in the middle of the field to go work some magic. He's going to do it eventually. For Oklahoma, I think one of the keys to winning this game is win the turnover battle again. You forced Alabama into 3 forced turnovers, 4, but you didn't recover one of the fumbles when you should have, but you forced them to 3 turns that you got the ball, and almost all of your points came off those turnovers. Another thing for Oklahoma is, look, you were able to get away with it last time in kicking field goals to win the game. I don't see it this way. I think this time you're going to have to go capitalize and get some touchdowns in this game to go win. You got the John Mateer 20-yard touchdown rush against Bama last time, but you're going to need more offensive firepower in this game to go beat an Alabama team who their offense has been looking worse recently, but their defense has been getting better. And Oklahoma's offense hasn't been looking any better recently. We haven't seen that. Maybe does John Mateer get better after those 3 weeks of health? Xavier Robinson, Troy Blaylock get healthy. We get our team healthy. Maybe, but we haven't seen it on a football field yet, so I'm not confident in it yet. And I think for Oklahoma on the offensive side, with an X-Rob that's healthy, which he has not been this year really at all, he is a fantastic running back. How can we get X-Rob the ball and get him to go run for 75 to 100 rushing yards just to make those Alabama linebackers creep in and make them think, okay, they might actually run this football. So that way we're able to go dial up something with a Deion Burks slant route and it goes yard, or a Isaiah Satania, corner route and that goes yard. How do we get these receivers in space by making those linebackers step up into the pocket? How do we do that? And for John Mateer, how can he read the defense? Against LSU, we threw 3 interceptions, and none of them were good interceptions. None of them were like, oh man, that wasn't on you. All 3 of those were just horrible reads. How well can John Mateer, after this time and this much film on Alabama, how well will we be able to read that defense and Ken Womack's tendencies? I think one scenario in this game that I'm interested in is Oklahoma got the 3 weeks of rest. Alabama didn't. Did they get rest? Yeah, but they only got 2 weeks because they played in a game, and they got players who got banged up in that game. How healthy are Alabama's running backs going to be? Jam Miller, Daniel Hill, because they both got banged up. Jam Miller didn't even play in the SEC championship. Neither did Daniel Hill. How well can those guys get healthy? And same for Oklahoma. How well can we get Jaden Jackson healthy? Is R. Mason Thomas going to play? Torrey Blaylock, Xavier Robinson. Both these teams have a lot of banged up players and a lot of banged up teams. How well can they get healthy over this break to go really make the other ones pay for it? For Oklahoma, I think that it's a pretty good rule of thumb to say you can't beat a great team twice in one season. And I would say Alabama's not a great team, but they're a very good team. They're very, very good. But because Oklahoma did it at Tuscaloosa and at Alabama's house, now they get to host them. I have a lot more confidence in the Sooners being able to pull it off. And we're an Oklahoma channel, so obviously I'm going to have confidence in my Sooners to win this football game. But for Bama, look, you're 0-3 in these guys in the last 3 meetings, okay? You want to go win. How much Alabama is there instilled in those players? And let's go fight for the program, not let's go fight for my draft stock. How much fight is there for the University of Alabama when those players go out there and want to win and realize we haven't beat these guys in 2 years now, back to back. Let's not make it 3 times in 2 years. I also think for Alabama, a few keys on their defensive side is if I'm Alabama, I would stack the box. I would make John Mateer go beat me through the air. Make him do what he hasn't done since the Michigan game. And if I'm Alabama and I lose that way, I would be content. I would be fine with that. But what I'm not going to let Oklahoma do is go run the ball, control time of possession, and then outlast us on defense. That is exactly what Oklahoma wants to do. How can Alabama combat that and not let it happen? Alabama's a team who, with how bad the run game has been, they actually control the time of clock really well. In the last OU-Bama game, the time of possession was about 31 minutes to about 29 minutes, give or take some of those times. So it was really a pretty even game. How well can Alabama try to take away Oklahoma's controlling of the clock? And how well can Ben Arbuckle control the clock? In the OU-Michigan game, to close that game out, Oklahoma had an 8.5-minute drive where we went and scored a field goal to end up ending that game against Michigan. Can Ben Arbuckle pull something like that together again? There's been a lot of people saying, oh, he's just saving all of this stuff for the end of the season. We're past when that stuff needed to be used, okay? Against LSU, those things needed to be used. In these games where they're close, they need to be used. What more wrinkles has Ben Arbuckle going to pull out, you want to say? How many more wrinkles is he going to get out of the playbook and take them out and input them in this football game? That's the question for Ben Arbuckle, is how different is the offense? Or do you take the opposite approach and you just go basic offense? Do what you've been doing all year, run the football, and bank on some explosive plays. The scary thing about Oklahoma, for Oklahoma and for the opposing team, is that Oklahoma can't hit on the big plays. They've done it. 87-yard touchdowns, 70-yard touchdowns, 80-yard touchdowns. They'll do that, but at the same time, to win a championship, you're going to have to sustainably move the football. And Oklahoma's yet to be able to do that in large quantities. They don't have games where they go have 4 or 5 large sustained drives. You also, for Oklahoma, have the benefactor of you have the best kicker in the country, titanium leg Tate Sandell. He's going to go out there and bomb from 50. But how much do you want to rely on that when this is a game where you're going to want to rely on touchdowns? I think overall this game comes down to a few things for me. Alabama has looked really bad on offense recently. So is Oklahoma. But Alabama's offense is better. So Alabama gets the nod there. Oklahoma's defense is the top 2 defense in the country, maybe only behind Ohio State, where Alabama's defense is probably a top 15 defense. Oklahoma has the edge there. In my opinion, in a game where it's going to be low scoring, just like it was last time in a 23-21 game, and this is a game where it's going to be really, really cold outside, it's going to be in Norman, in that raucous environment for the Sooners, that it's hard not to give the edge to a team that is going to have the elite field goal kicking and elite defense. In a game that's going to be low scoring, and they're the home team, those 3 factors are what makes me think that Oklahoma is going to be able to pull this one out against Bama. Vegas disagrees with me. As I'm over recording, Vegas thinks that Alabama is 1.5 point favorites. I disagree with that. I might be a homer, but at the end of the day, I think that as an objective college football fan, you have to look at which team has looked better recently. Oklahoma beat them. They're 4-0 in November. Oklahoma has finished the season very strong, where Alabama didn't. They had losses to Georgia in the SEC championship. They barely squeaked by Auburn. Okay, they just haven't looked as great of a football team recently. Whereas Oklahoma has looked very good, not on the offense, but as a team, they've looked very good and they found ways to win. In the playoffs, you're going to have a team that knows how to win in different ways. Oklahoma's experienced all that. But the scary thing about them is if that offense can get some rhythm with that defense, it is a scary thing for the rest of the country. And Oklahoma is a true contender. I think at this pace right now with this offense, Oklahoma's a contender to win this game, but I don't think they're national championship contenders. If the offense can piece it all together just for a few games, this Oklahoma team has a real shot at winning the national championship. With that being said, I'm going to put my final predictions of this football game. I think Oklahoma, after all those factors I just broke down, I think Oklahoma's going to pull out the win in a narrow one in Norman, 20-17, to punch their ticket against Indiana in the Rose Bowl. Remember, everyone, these are just my takes, so make sure to leave y'all's down in the comments below. I want to hear who y'all think are going to win this football game. Thank y'all for tuning in today. Make sure while you're down there, hit that like, subscribe, and noti bell if you enjoyed the video. Make sure to tune back in next week for our reviews on these games and our predictions of the New Year's Six Bowl games. Boomer.